come from a really good family, actually. My parents are still together, a brother and a sister. And, my dad worked hard. And just from a young age, I guess I acted up quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I had some sexual assault happen when I was younger. Not in the sense that like I was actually assaulted in a physical way, but sexual abuse nonetheless. I
Mm-hmm.
was a babysitter that read me a book about like love making at the age of 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up getting caught, and I lived in a town of 200 people, messing around with a girl my age. And
Mm.
they were like, like the stuff that he was doing, like, how does he know? They assumed that my parents had been raping me.
Mm-hmm.
So they called the protective services on my parents. I had to go to psychology, like a psychologist at the age of 4, pretty much proving that my parents hadn't sexually abused me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and for the longest time, I just kind of thought that that was something that happened, and I dealt with it. And my life just kept going in this way where I was acting out. I was not really allowed to have a lot of friends because of the way that I acted. I was still being, sexual with girls too, and getting caught and having to go to psychology, and it led to a lot of isolation for
Mm-hmm.
myself, which led to me, trying to hang out with older people, which again led to more sexual abuse from older men, and which eventually led into some drug use. I think when I was 12 was the first time that I drank. A friend and his mom was a drug addict as well, and she would buy us beer. And
Mm-hmm.
like literally, she would buy us a 2 for a beer just to let us go have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And at the age of 12, that's not very good, right?
No, no.
So I started drinking then, and then was hanging out with some other kids that were from the other side of town, and just wanted to have friends. So
Mm-hmm.
started smoking weed, and yeah, you could just see this progression over my life of like, oh well, weed became my identity. That's how I was cool. I was a stoner guy. I'm the guy
Mm-hmm.
that provided people with weed, and that's how I thought that I was liked. I wasn't liked for being me. I was liked for the things that I could do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, that just led into hanging out with drug dealers, and then I had was crack and cocaine, and it just kind of escalated over and over again to the point where I was like on meth, and I just had enough. I was thinking about 20 years old, and my life had gone to crap. And I said, okay, I want to get out of this. And I'd met a girl, and now I'm putting my like I'm putting my value on women now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, and I got clean. I got clean by myself for a good 5 years. I didn't do anything for 3 years, and I stopped smoking pot, smokes, booze, everything. And then I introduced marijuana and alcohol back into my life, but in a normal way. I would use maybe once or twice a month, go out and
Mm-hmm.
get drunk with your friends, and it had it quite under control. And then as that relationship fell apart, everything kind of fell apart. I started drinking even more. Then I was starting to do, like ecstasy with people. And then, yeah, we ended up breaking up. I ended up going back to my hometown. My hometown's Campbell River on the island. It's
Okay.
kind of a rough little town.
Yep.
Like there's a lot of drugs there, a lot of alcohol, and like just, like violence too. Like I was a scrapper my whole life. Like that was just part of life, drinking
Mm-hmm.
and driving, scrapping, girl. Like it was a rough, tough town.
Mm-hmm.
And I met a girl that I'd known since high school. She was a cokehead, got back into the coke, into the crack. And then I got in a car crash, which led to heroin addiction. And as soon as that started, it was yeah, it gets hold of you pretty
Mm-hmm.
bad. I tried to kick it. I don't know how many times. Like I couldn't probably count right now. I would go to camp, and I would quit, and I would come back, and I just over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Tried going to Sunshine Coast Recovery Center or therapy in Powell River. Only lasted, I think, 3 weeks. I left, and yeah, it just kind of progressed to that. And then I met my son's mom, and we had a son, and I was like, all right, I can do this, right? Like I do this for my son, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
got clean, and I got clean for quite a while. I didn't use anything. And then the same thing happened, I wasn't working on myself. I just thought oh, well, I'm clean, I'm sober. That's all I need to do,
Mm-hmm.
but not doing the work. So, the relationship started falling apart. I started drinking again. And then she took my son. And then when that happened, I went off the deep end. I ended up in recovery in Vancouver. It's the first time I heard of recovery, which is kind of like sober living. So you
Okay.
go and you live with a bunch of other recovering addicts. You go to meetings and stuff like that. And they
Mm-hmm.
give you like these work projects that you have to do to help you, be a better person, like the 12 steps and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it lasted about 35 days. After 35 days, I ended up going with a buddy downtown Vancouver to go help him retrieve something from an ex-girlfriend's house. We ended up in East Van, like on the right down in the east side. I didn't realize where we were going. You know, he just said, let's go to Vancouver.
Yeah.
I was fine for a bit, and then he ended up taking off. And I'm trying to walk back to the SkyTrain, and my brain starts going, and it's like, hey, man, there's drugs right there. I was like, oh, no. I was like, come on, just a little bit. Oh, no. Oh, okay. And I ended up using, and it lasted for about 2-3 days. I was in full psychosis. I would inject cocaine into my veins, which is not a very wise idea. It messes you up pretty fast. And then I got to the point where I thought I was being filmed in a TV show after walking in on a film in downtown, and I thought they had directed me to a transformer, a substation, and it's right by the Georgia Viaduct there. There's a big substation there, and I ended up getting up over and inside of it, and cop came and told me to get out of there, and I was up on this big structure, and I guess I didn't look, and I jumped, and I landed on a 230,000 volt transformer, and I blew myself up. The transformer luckily blew, and didn't electrocute me to the point of death. And yeah, I burned to 25% of my body, so my whole upper torso is covered in burns. And yeah, you think that would stop me from using drugs, but no, I was like literally shooting cocaine in my hospital bed about 2 months later. You know, and I still have my son kind of in my life. You know, I was able to see him, and after, you know, still using, she ended up taking him and said, "That's it, you can't see him at all." And